Kingsway Music Library, created by Grammy Award winner Frank Dukes. One of the most recognised music libraries when it comes to sampling, creating hits like Drake's 0 to 100, to Kendrick Lamar's Levitate. In today's video, I'm going to show you the correct way to make Kingsway quality samples, just like Frank Dukes. Frank has mentioned many times that he was inspired by the analog sounds of the 60s and the 70s. He even said he based it on this era, but liked to give it a modern twist. So how does he achieve his sound? I notice a few things with Frank's samples. He keeps things simple and doesn't overcomplicate it. He mixes his sounds in all different types of reverbs, and he puts a majority of his sounds in mono. So that brings me onto the guitar layers. Frank has mentioned he owns many guitars from Fender to Gibson to Hofner, and he runs his guitars into this recording chain. He uses a Townsend Sphere microphone, so I found one similar, used this DN57 that I noticed in this picture, and he runs it through the API 512 preamp, and the closest I had was the 560 from Waves. And he mentions the J37 is his favourite tape saturation, which emulated the 60s and 70s very well. Let's listen to the sounds that I ran through this chain without any effects on. I started by laying two Fender Stratosphere guitars as Frank uses in this picture. I used this Stratocaster, which I ran through this Fender twin reverb amp, which was really common in the 60s and 70s. Then I ran it through tube compression just to make it leveled out, and then some EQ just to get rid of the harsh frequencies. Then I layered this with the second Stratosphere guitar but a lower octave. And I ran this through the Stark amp to give it a different density for the room size and the decay of the reverb. Then I EQ'd out a lot of highs and lows so it was squashed in. And as you can see, I left these guitars pretty much mono, just like Frank does. In this photo you can see Frank owns a Les Paul guitar, which was heavily used in the 60s. So I used his ample Les Paul guitar and just played a single note. I noticed Frank likes to make his sounds glitchy and unique, so I ran it through this Stark amp again with guitar pedals. To get this unique sound, I use this heavy vibrato, delay and chorus, and you can see I've boxed it in a small room so it's in a different position of the mix. So together they now sound like this. Next was the Fender Jazz Bass Guitar. This was used a lot by George Harrison in the 70s, and you can even see in this video Frank finger picking this guitar. So I found this ample bass J, and you can see here I've set it to finger picking. The bass was fine how it was, so I just took out some highs, and I noticed a lot in the basses of Frank's samples it had some noise. So on this J37 just brought the noise level up. As Frank states and seen in this photo, I use his Hammond organ with a Leslie speaker. So I use this B3 organ from Analog Lab, and you can see here I've set the fast on the rotary speaker, and that just gives it that nice swirling effect. And then I've added a subtle spring reverb just to bring it to life. So again, I ran it through this J37 just to bring it alive, tape saturate it. Next is the drums, and I know Frank likes to use live drum sounds from his drum kit. He has stated that he records the kick, snares, hi-hats through all different microphones, but I notice in his samples he doesn't really have drums. So I use his Fairfax drum kit from Addictive Drums. And as I said, he doesn't really use these in the foreground, so I've EQ'd out so it's a more texture, and then I've just made the drums tighter by using this compression. Lastly, the vocals. I noticed Frank uses his own voice to make harmonies throughout his samples, so I layered 2 vocals on top of each other. He mentions again that he uses for his vocal chain Townsend microphones, so again I've used that, and then all I've done is just EQ'd out some highs and lows. And as you can see here, for the 2 separate vocals, I have one that's boxed in and one that's spatial, so it's just filling it in. And again, as Frank does, likes to make it mono. So now let's take a listen to the full sample. So we learned a lot from Frank. He likes to keep it simple and place sounds in the right sections. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, people. My multi-kit is coming real soon. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one.